Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews. I'm your host, Matt Spease, and today we are looking at A Nightmare on Elm Street, released in 1984. Wes Craven's masterpiece, Nightmare on Elm Street, is a big turning point for the slasher genre. It's a totally different type of film than the previous slasher films that came after, such films as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, Friday the 13th, and the many numerous imitators that came after. The Nightmare on Elm Street was Wes Craven's big dream, no pun intended, in which he dreamed about the idea of having this killer come into your dreams, and if he kills you in your dreams, you die in reality. And that was a cool premise. That was something that had never been done in any of the slashers prior to 1984 when this film happened. So when Bob Shaye and Wes Craven at New Line, came up and decided to do this, they were taking a chance because it was something so different and it could have flopped easily if not done properly. But to Wes Craven's credit, he did a fine job, and he did a fine job casting the film as well, for the most part. One of the most effective things about this film, before I even get into any of the actors or acting or any of that, Wes Craven's directing is fine. Everything else is it's good. But what makes the film work really well throughout it is the score by Charles Bernstein. That music is really effective in this film, and it's used well throughout the film. So that helps the film be a step up over films that I really love, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I give it, I gave it my highest review ever, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre had no basic score, really. It was basically a musicless thing, except for a few little chimes and chings there and then and there, and it's... But Halloween had a great theme. This has a great theme. Every film should have a memorable thing. The only thing that was memorable with Texas Chainsaw was this. You have the cool dun, 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 and the opening scene with the claw being made and everything, with his music playing alongside it, it was perfect. It was highly effective. First off, of course, as far as the cast goes, there is Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. This was before Freddy became a pop culture icon who's just spouting nonsense and doing idiot one-liners and just became a joke. This was when he was truly supposed to be frightening. Now, even as a kid, I thought the character was a threat to the characters on screen, but I was never afraid of him. Freddy Krueger never scared me the way that Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, definitely didn't scare me like Leatherface, who was the most terrifying out of all of them. So, Freddy is the character that in this film at least, I took him more serious. But, and I was never afraid of him because I figured, hell, he comes into my dream, I'm going to kick his ass. I'm not afraid of him. So, I genuinely would fear for my life if I was facing Leatherface, or Michael Myers, or Jason Voorhees. Freddy? No. He never really scared me. I mean, I feared for the people he was after on screen. But I wasn't scared of him myself. So, but Robert Englund's portrayal was great in this first film. And he conveyed that, scaring the victims that he was going after and everything. And he worked well in that role. And he did good playing that. He was highly effective in that, for that. Except for when he had to face Nancy in the end. And that brings me to Nancy. Nancy was played by Heather Langenkamp, and she's probably still, to this day, one of the best final girls in horror slasher history, because of the way that Heather Langenkamp brought that character to life. She makes you like her from the start. The first time you see her, you like her. And you're rooting for her the whole time. And that was because of Heather Langenkamp's great acting as the character. And joining her along for the ride, and giving an equally awesome performance, was John Saxon, playing her Heather Langenkamp's father character, and almost at the same time doing a similar role to what he played in Black Christmas in 1974. So it is pretty funny because it's like 10 years later and he's playing a similar role, but this time he has a little bit more to do with it because he is the main girl's father and he's the sheriff character. So and he's as always, I mean, John Saxon was always good in any role that he played in. I mean, the guy was a very talented, great actor. So having those two in there, playing those roles was great. They had great chemistry together. The acting by both of them was great. And then you have Amanda Wyss, who is the first girl we meet at the beginning of the story, and it's a nice little red herring for Wes Craven to give us, because we first meet her and we're thinking this is going to be our final girl, and we follow her throughout this story. We meet all of her friends and everything, and then she was killed. And then we're following Nancy. So it was nice that, Wes Craven threw that in there to where he's giving you what you think is the final girl with Amanda Wyss. And nope, she's not. So Tina gets killed, and that's the end of that. Well, we see her in little dream things with Nancy later on and everything, which are kind of creepy and cool. And Amanda Wyss is great playing her. Johnny Depp in the film as Nancy's boyfriend. He's good. He's good in the film, but I think he's overshadowed by Nick Corri, aka Sue Garcia. I don't know why this guy ever changed his name from Nick Corri or to Sue Garcia. I don't know. Why would you do that? You get this cool name, Nick Corri, and you're going to change it to Sue Garcia. But at this time that this film was made, every film that he was playing in, he was credited as Nick Corri. And his character, Rod Lane, is my favorite male character other than John Saxon. So, when they kill him off, in the manner that they kill him off in, I was slightly disappointed. Because I thought it was a waste of a really good character, and the kill was kind of lame to kill him off that way. Because he's a great actor, and he portrayed the character cool, and he played him strong. Even when he's scared and he's crying and talking to Nancy points in the film, you still like him. Not that you don't like Johnny Depp's character, not that he's not likable or anything, but I just gravitated more toward Nick Corri than I did Johnny Depp in this film. And that was because of Nick Corri's performance. He was great as Rod. So, then we come to the weaker element of this film. Ronee Blakley as Nancy's mom and John Saxon's wife, or whatever. She is just so bland and uninteresting. Even in the points where she's telling Nancy the story about how they killed Freddie and everything. It doesn't meld as well together, and she doesn't have as good a chemistry with Heather Langenkamp and John Saxon as those two do. When those two are in scenes together, John Saxon and Heather Langenkamp, when they're in scenes together, they command your attention and they are interesting in their portrayals. Ronee Blakley is not. She's not really that good in this film, and it's, I don't know why, because I've seen her in other things and she's not that bad in them and those other things I've seen her in. So I don't know what it was, but and another thing that hurts her performance is she's part of two of the worst special effects in this whole film, and I'll get on that later. Now, on the effects, that is a problem with this film. This film suffers the most out of all of them. You know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and even Hellraiser, and other films that came after that and that came around that time. The effects in them are more effective. The effects in Nightmare on Elm Street, when you're watching it now, are really dated and look really bad in comparison. In comparison with, Texas Chainsaw Massacre had no budget, hardly at all. Like I said in my review of it, 100 to 150,000 was all they had on that. Halloween, 300 to 350,000 on theirs. This had a $1 million, a little bit over $1 million budget on it. So when they do the fire stunt, when Nancy sets Freddy on fire near the end, and they got this bulky stuntman wearing a fire suit, wearing a Freddy suit and mask, set on fire and running up those stairs, it just brings you out of the film because you know that's a fucking stuntman. You know? So, it's apparent. I don't know why they couldn't have found a really good fire stuntman that's really thin and lanky, kind of like what Alien did when they cast the guy that played the alien. You know, they got us a real thin guy that could be in that suit and look convincing in that role. Same way with a stuntman. You get a thin stuntman to be in the suit. That way when you put the bulkier fire suit on top of him, he'll be similar to Robert Englund's build. And when he goes up doing that fire stunt, he would look like Robert Englund, and you would buy it. Because this was back before the time when we had the effects that we have nowadays, to where you could do a fire scene and the actor could really be on fire because they just do it with CGI, you know. But it just looks really dated and bad today, looking at that scene. And then there's the scene that corresponds with that follows that, where Freddy goes in and tries to kill Ronee Blakley's character in the bed. And that's one of those other pathetic effects. I mean, John Saxon pulls the sheet back, and this pathetic looking dummy that looks nothing like her, whether she's burned or whether she's charred, it doesn't matter. It looks nothing like her or what she would have looked like that. It is a dummy. You can tell it's a freaking dummy, and it is going down into the bed, into the smoke, which the fog machine was making inside the bed. And it's like, that's an effect. You can tell that's bad. That's a bad effect right there, you know. And then, of course, Ronee Blakley's last scene in the film, when she gets her second kill of the film. Neither one of her kills in this film were effective in the least at all. The scene at the end when she's by the door and Freddy's hand comes out, grabs her, and pulls her through the fucking door. It is so bad looking. And it was bad looking back then. It's not like it is bad by today's standards and it's dated now. It was bad when they did it back then, and it's still bad today. So it's scenes like that really hurt what is a really great film. Wes Craven directed a great film here, and it just sucks that it's hurt by these dated and bad effects. You have a great performance by Robert Englund, a great performance by John Saxon, a great performance by Heather Langenkamp, a great performance by Nick Corri, fine performance by Amanda Wyss, and a pretty lousy little performance by Ronee Blakley, and then some shoddy effects near the end, and he really brings it down. So, I still consider it a masterpiece, and I still love the film, but because of that, my rating for A Nightmare on Elm Street is an 8.5. I'm generous because what I liked, you know. The negatives do hurt certain scenes and everything, but the rest of the film is solid. Probably the best effect in the film was Johnny Depp's kill, you know. And it's a shame that he gets a better kill than Nick Corri, and Nick Corri was the more interesting character. That's it for my review on Nightmare on Elm Street. Hope you've enjoyed this. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next review.